Hey, HEB students. Today we're going to go over the ACT 2016-2017 online test, passage 2. We're going to be going through this, which is a conflicting viewpoint. And remember, conflicting viewpoints have passages that are suggesting more than one opinion that's sort of asserting itself to each other. I'm not sure why this popped up, but anyways, so we can see that it's being illustrated here as we see hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, hypothesis 3 of things and stuff. And so traditionally, as we go through this, I like to recommend that students largely go into the questions first and then trying to answer the questions of things. And so looking for keywords that can provide evidence for things that you're looking for and help you to locate the answers. So let's go ahead and jump right in and do this. This won't be a very long video. Hopefully it should be about maybe 10 minutes or so, 10, 12, 15 minutes. But anyways, here we go. So question number 8, it says, which of the hypothesis, if any, asserts that monarch butterflies stored lipids during 2 distinct periods? And one, we got to understand that distinct means different, means there's 2 different periods. And we see that answer choices of 1, 2, 3, or none as that. So let's jump into first one. It asserts they store lipids. So here in reading it, it says monarchs require energy, stored lipids, require energy from stored lipids for migration and during the overwintering period. Okay, so that means that they require energy from stored lipids. Here it talks about that starts that monarch butterflies store lipids during 2 distinct periods. So here they require energy from 2 distinct periods. If we need further evidence, we can keep reading. It says butterflies store lipids from before they begin their migration. Okay, so there's one period there of sorts. And if we keep reading in this passage, we see that they're stored during the migration period. And if we keep reading, it says, when the butterflies reach the overwintering sites, ending their migration, they must store lipids again. All right, they must store lipids again before beginning the overwintering period. All right, so then that's going to tell us that those are the 2 distinct periods that we have, and that F is the answer. We don't really have to look any further because that right out there already confirms our answer choices, and so we know all of these happen to be incorrect of things, okay? So let's look at number 9 now. 9, it says, which hypothesis, if any, so that means it could be D, which is none, asserts that monarch butterflies require energy from stored lipids neither for migration nor during the wintering period. So this question here is a little bit a little different in a sense that it may take you a couple of readings to really understand, but what they're saying is if it asserts that any monarch butterflies require energy from stored lipids neither for migration nor during the winter. So really is like they don't need this required energy for either one of these things. And so that's kind of one of the assertions that you have to be able to take away from this. But we already know from hypothesis 1 that they required stored energy for them to be able to go through the migration, and they had to do it again for the overwintering period. So we know that A or 1, hypothesis 1 is already out. And then looking from hypothesis 2, it says monarchs, butterflies require energy from stored lipids for migration, but not during the overwintering period. So they require it for the migration of things, but not during the overwintering of things. So here they require it for migration, but not the overwintering of things. So it's required for migration. So then we know that, so it uses it for one of these, but this is saying it doesn't use it for either one of them. And so that means 2, or B is out. And then 3 again is saying monarchs, butterflies require energy from stored lipids during the overwintering period, but not for migration. So this is the opposite. So this one is saying is not for migration, and this one is saying required for the overwintering of things. and stuff. So again, we see that it's required for one of them, but not both of them. So this is suggesting it's not required for neither one of the options and stuff. So that would leave D as the answer choice. So again, that one's probably a little bit more trickier, only for the fact that you kind of have to gather what it's really asking in this piece here. Number 10, as we look and review this one, it says, based on the hypothesis 3, so it directs us to 3, which of the following figures best depicts the change in the lipid mass of a monarch butterfly from the beginning of the migration to the end of migration? In each figure, B represents the beginning of the migration and E represents the end of migration of things. So we see this BE, beginning, end of migration, and this time and stuff, and the amount of liquid mass that is stored for the I'm sorry, not stored, but the amount of lipid mass for the monarch. So we look in 3. It says the butterflies do not store lipids before. It says they do not store lipids before they begin their migration. So if they do not store lipids before they migration, that means that they don't have any to start with. So automatically that eliminates H for that reason and eliminates G for that reason. So we know that we start off here at kind of like this baseline of 0. So let's look and see the rest of this. Instead, the lipids are stored during migration. Therefore, lipid mass continually increases from the beginning of migration until the end of migration. So that there is the money statement. So that there is suggesting that over time, from the beginning to end of migration, it increases. Where F is suggesting that it increases and then it sort of then reaches the peak, and then I will then, and it sort of then starts to exhaust its materials or mass again. So that is not true. And J is the answer choice that is set for number 10. Okay, so now let's look at number 11 here. All right. And number 11 is telling us that it says, assume that changes in the body of mass of a monarch butterfly are caused only by the changes in the mass of the butterfly's stored lipids. The statement, the percent of a monarch's butterfly body mass that is made up of lipids is greater at the beginning of the migration than at the end of migration. Okay, so which one of these is definitely going to support that statement of things? So as we look at that and trying to understand what that is suggesting and telling us, it says that the body mass is greater at the beginning of migration than at the end of migration. Okay, so let's go back and look into our text. And hold on, let me see for a second. So 1, 2, and 3 in all of those options. Okay, so let's go back and look at the text. And the text is suggesting to us that here it says required energy stored lipids for migration and during the overwintering period. So here we had that. It says the butterflies first stored lipids before they begin their migration. All right, well, if they store their lipids, that would then suggest that they have a much larger mass there of lipids. And then as it's going to, and during migration, the stored lipids are converted to energy, the lipid mass continually decreases. So that would then, okay, that would suggest that, okay, number 1 is definitely, hypothesis 1 is an option for us. All right, so then that would then just, well, really that only takes out number 2 there, the things. We then see options is 1, 2, and 3 of things. So let's check the next one. And well, if we remember, one thing I also want to understand is that if reading this question, and it's asking us that the body mass that is made up of lipids is greater at the beginning of the migration than at the end of migration. If we remember about hypothesis 3, remember they didn't have any at the start. Remember the previous question we answered, remember there was no liquid mass at the beginning, and it continually got heavier. So that automatically eliminates D as the answer choice if you're looking at those and carrying that information over from what you learned from the previous question. So really we're just looking at 2 here now. And 2 says the butterflies store lipids before they begin their migration. During migration, stored lipids are converted to energy. Lipid mass continually decreases, right? So that statement there would then agree with hypothesis 1 and would suggest to us that the answer choice on this one is C and not A. Okay. All right. So let's look at number 12 now. All right. Let's look at and see what 12 is asking of us. 12 is saying to us to store lipids. Monarch butterflies convert sugar from nectar that they have consumed into lipids. A supporter of which hypothesis, if any, would likely to claim that to ensure the butterflies can store lipids for overwintering periods, nectar must be present at the butterflies' overwintering sites. Okay, at their overwintering sites. So let's look at this and see what is the answer choice on this one. So let's go back and look at 1. And looking at this information, we can see, kind of continuing along, we read stuff before, it says when butterflies reach the overwintering sites, ending their migration, they must store lipids again. Remember, we read that piece before beginning the overwintering period of things. And if we recall what the question was saying, it says, which hypothesis, if any, would likely to claim that to ensure the butterflies can store lipids for the overwintering, nectar must be present at the butterfly's overwintering site. Well, remember, for nectar to happen of things, they must have they must be able to convert that over into lipids and such. And so there's a need to be able to have more sugar of that, because it tells us in the question that monarch butterflies convert sugar from nectar they have consumed into lipids of things, and so there's a need to do it again. So more likely, that number 1 looks like that's the answer choice, because if we go look at number 2, if you read here, it says because the energy from stored lipid is not required during overwintering, the butterflies do not store lipids while at the overwintering sites. And so if they do not need to store lipids, then there's no need for them to have more nectar or anything at that time and stuff. And same thing in 3. If you go here, overwintering, the butterflies arrive at the overwintering sites with enough lipids to provide themselves with energy during the overwintering period. So they do not store lipids while at the overwintering sites. So again, that would then resonate and then suggest to us that hypothesis 1 is true, because they must be present, nectar must be present at the butterfly overwintering sites, and they need that so they can have that and be able to get that nectar, and then that nectar then turns into lipids, which then allows them to continue their migration of things and stuff. And so that is must be prevalent for that to happen. All right, let's look at number 13 here. Is saying which of the following statements about lipids in monarch butterflies is consistent with all 3 hypotheses. The butterfly's lipid mass do not change during the overwintering period of things, and so that is not true, because if you're looking at hypothesis 1, we know that they are getting nectar and to turn into lipids again and stuff. Hypothesis 2 of things is suggesting, if you recall here, they do not need more lipids for the overwintering of things and stuff, and so they do not store lipids while they're at overwintering. And number 3, they already have all that, and so they do not store lipids for that of things. So that is not true. The second one says the butterfly lipid mass changes during the migration, and so that would be true, because if you remember, the ones that start off with 1 and 2, they start off with a lot and then lose it of things, and then the butterflies for 3, if you remember here, they gain their lipids as they go through migration and stuff. And so That statement is in fact true of things, and so that is consistent for all of them. C is wrong because butterflies use energy from stored lipids during the winter period. That is not true for all of them. And D is the same thing. The butterflies use energy from stored lipids for migration. Again, that's not true for all of them. So B is the answer choice. Okay, the last question we have here is 14. It says, when the monarch butterflies use their stored lipids, the lipids must be broken down to produce energy-rich molecules. Energy-rich molecules that can be readily used by cells. Which of the following molecules is produced as a direct result of the breakdown of lipids? Well, remember, this question here, this is a knowledge question of sorts. And if we look back through, we can sort of skim and see, like, there's nothing of the sort that makes mention of ATP, the very first answer choices of things and stuff. And so, so that you kind of have to recall from memory on this one of things. Or starches, DNA, or amino acid. There's nothing being mentioned in the sorts of this. And so it's asking which of the following it says which is telling us that which of the following molecules is produced as a direct result of the breakdown of lipids. Well, and looking at this, you can't break down DNA, and it's not produced. You don't produce DNA. DNA is something that you already have of things. And then looking at these other ones, amino acids, those are proteins. Things that you have. Those are essentially proteins, and starches, or carbs and stuff. And so you may not necessarily know, and this one is I'll admit is a very difficult question, because you have to understand that ATP, and that is the answer choice here, is definitely used to primarily used in cells as an energy carrier. And so this one's talking about produce energy-rich molecules. Well, ATP is an energy carrier of sorts. And as the answer choice on this one, while starch and amino acids certainly seem like they could be reasonable answer choices, and what you could do to deduce from the fact is we know it's not DNA. It can't be DNA. DNA is not produced. And most likely these are very common terms, starch and amino acids and things. And so that kind of almost seems too easy, and you'd have difficulty. Well, if it was carbs, it could be proteins. If protein could be carbs and things. So therefore, because energy could be taken from those, but they don't produce energy. So the energy is taken from them, they don't produce. So that's why it's F. F produces energy, and is the answer choice there. So I hope this sort of gave you some insight on how to attack this passage as you're sort of moving forward. Remember, and keeping in as you're going through conflicting viewpoints, I always like to approach them by kind of diving into the questions first of things. And you can normally sort of work your way through it. However, if you so choose to read it first, definitely kind of take notes, like what I did here on the side to a degree, a little bit, and you sort of get an indication as to differences that exist between them and stuff, and sort of helping you out. So, but thank you so much. Good luck. And if you have any additional questions, always feel free to get in touch with us.